Okay, folks. Well, welcome to our September webinar. Today we're going to be talking about how to get grant money to fund your on-site supply chain management education. A couple housekeeping things. If you have a question, you can type it in and send it to me at any time. I will try to answer them as I see them. If not, we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. We'll be going here today for about 15 or 20 minutes. So sit back and let's have some fun. What we're going to talk about today are where this grant money comes from, who administers the grant, and what type of supply chain management education qualifies to be delivered using grant money. Now, I want to preface this with this statement. Most of the stuff I talk about is relevant to the state of New Jersey, where I do most of my on-site training. There are federal sources for the money. There are state sources for the money. What you'll have to do, and I'll be sharing with you some links for further research after the end of the webinar, you're going to have to look to your own states to find out where this money is being administered and supplied from. But I'll give you links on how to do that. So for today, though, most of my stuff is going to be talking about how we do it here in New Jersey. In New Jersey, the state of New Jersey funds employee training at the worksite. That's the name of the program. It is run by the Department of Labor and Workforce Development for the state of New Jersey. At the federal level, the U.S. Department of Labor, under the Business Relations Group, distributes money, and that is actually the source that you go to find out where the money might be distributed in your particular state. There is a middleman in this process between the organizations that supply the grant money and the companies that take advantage of it. And these are grant administrators. Typically, the administrators, and here in New Jersey, we have a very proactive one in JVS Corporate Training. They are a not-for-profit organization based in northern New Jersey. They're a pretty robust administrator for the grant monies coming from the state of New Jersey. Also, we have grant money, whether it's state money or federal money, that is administered through local community colleges. Over the years that I've been doing this, about 15 years now, I've actually worked with several of the community colleges here, delivering education that was funded by grant money. And my predominant one that I work with now is JVS Corporate Training. Now, the function of these administrators: they write the grants that the companies receive to have this on-site training and education done. It is a whole process of writing a formal grant, sending it off to the agency providing the money, and working with them, answering questions. Once the grants are approved and the training and education begins, then the grant administrator is actually the banker that distributes the money to the education and training providers. It's typical for this process of writing grants to take approximately 3 to 4 months from identification of a need, writing the grant, and getting it through the approval process. The 3 to 4 months is an average. I can tell you that during the Great Recession a few years ago, it stretched out to almost a year to get a grant approved. However, now we're back to the normal, and it's usually about 3 to 4 months to get a grant approved. The grants that I've worked with over the years are typically 1 year in length from date that the grant is approved. So the education and training provider has 1 year to deliver the work and get paid for it. So now I want to get some feedback from you all on how you're looking to use this grant money. So here's what I want to do. I want you to take a look at this poll. It's a multiple choice. It has 2 questions for you. I want you to select one or the other or both if they apply to you. Basically, the question is, I want to use grant money to either A, bring supply chain management education to my company, or B, help my clients pay for my education training services. You can check one, you can check both. Take a couple minutes, make your selections. Okay, I've got one more person that hasn't answered yet. If you could make a decision and check one or both of those blocks. All right, I'm going to be closing the poll in 1 second. Here we go. So let's take a look at the results of this poll. 14% of you are looking to use grant money to bring education to your company. The remainder are looking to use grant money to have clients pay you to deliver education and training. What we're going to do first is we're going to look at the people that want to bring education to their companies. There are 2 types of education that are covered by this grant money. If you're familiar with the APEX Certified in Production and Inventory Management, Certified Supply Chain Professional, those types of courses, grant money can be used to pay the instructor to deliver the course at your facility. It only, however, pays for the instructor standing up there teaching the class. The company would have to pay for the participant workbooks. So it's kind of like a shared responsibility here. The time frame, as I pointed out in the last slide, from grant approval until the end of the grant is 1 year. So if you take one of the APEX programs like CPIM, which has 5 modules, that could be a very ambitious training schedule if you got grant money to cover the entire CPIM program, because you'd have to get the entire thing done in 1 year. Now let's look at custom education. Custom education, and most of the work that I do with JVS and the local community colleges in New Jersey is custom education, but it's using the APEX material. One of the most frequent 4-hour courses that I'm asked to deliver is material requirements planning. If you're familiar with the APEX CPIM program, that material is covered in lessons 4 and 5 of the Basics of Supply Chain Management course. Yes, it is a custom delivery. Yes, all I'm doing is delivering 2 lessons that I have no preparation time on, but I require the customer company to buy the workbooks. So it's custom for the company, but it doesn't take any development time on the instructor part, because these grants do not pay for content development. If you're looking for true custom developed education or training. Then the company's got to pay for the development of that, and the grant will pay for the instructor to deliver it. And I'll give you an example. Here on the East Coast, there is a craft store called AC Moore. They're all up and down the East Coast of the United States. Several years ago, they wrote their own warehouse management system. On an Oracle platform, they had 20 programmers write this warehouse management system for their brand new warehouse. They handed me their instruction manual, how the warehouse management system worked. The company, AC Moore, paid me to write the courseware to train 120 employees. The grant that we received from the federal government, administered by one of the local colleges here, paid me to deliver that courseware over a couple-month period of time to all the employees at that company. So you can use these education grant monies to, if you get creative, deliver completely customized education, deliver semi-customized education, or deliver straight CPIM, CSCP, the standard courseware type stuff. Now, for the 86% of you that said you're looking for grants to help your clients pay for your services, here's the way it works. The client company has to work with the grant administrator. We use JVS as an example. They would work with JVS to determine the types of training and education. JVS would write the grant, get the grant approved. You as a content provider would work for the grant administrator. So for example, when I'm doing a job for JVS, I get paid by JVS, I invoice JVS, JVS administers the money that was in the grant for their client. One other thing, these grants do not cover travel expenses. The best I can tell you for those people that are looking to have grant money pay for your services, you might be able to work a deal with the prospect client if you're going to be there long enough to have them pick up your travel expenses. But specifically, grant money only pays for the time you're standing in front of the audience delivering the content. So that's basically grant money for supply chain management education. What we covered was the sources. They can either be state or federal sources, how they're administered, typically by companies like JVS or local community colleges. We've looked at the types of education that are covered in these grants, and I want to point out one thing. We covered education, but there are many training courses that are also covered under these types of grants. Now, I promised you some links for further research. If you visit my website at microcraft-tkc.com, right on the home page I put two links. One for JVS Corporate Training, which is specific to the state of New Jersey. The other is to an article that I've used from time to time. It was published by the Wall Street Journal, and it details federal money and a process for finding out how the federal money is administered in your particular state. So with that, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now. If not, hope to see you next month for our next webinar. We'll be talking about rough cut capacity planning in a job shop environment. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week, or next month, excuse me.